and welcome to this week's vlog. This week we have the Q&A that I've been promising for ages. I actually lost the footage, so I am refilming it now, but I have all of your questions on my iPad ready to answer. So a little bit of background before we start. I am obviously Jess Podger. I've been swimming for 13 years now. So I started when I was 10. I'm 23 now, and yeah, I train at and study at Bath University. I moved there this season to do another degree, and yeah, I think that's a little bit of background. I'm gonna do a full video on my full swimming journey, but for now, well, let's just answer the questions. So first one, what made you pick the uni you're at now? Well, like I said, I'm at Bath University. I really liked the swimming setup and the training program. I love the coaches, and it had a really good course that I thought that could really fit well around my swimming and give me something else to do outside of the pool while also getting a degree. Have you ever felt like giving up? I feel like every athlete goes through this, but I think I love swimming too much to give up at the moment. I feel like as soon as I stop enjoying it, then that will be the time that I decide to like fully hang my goggles up and stop racing competitively. But I don't think I've ever like seriously been like, I'm quitting. But I guess everyone goes through those ups and downs, those ebbs and flow with their motivation and everything, but you just got to remember why you started and the reasons that you actually love swimming, instead of, focusing on your feelings in the moment, because your feelings aren't facts and you may just be having a bit of a downer. It's not permanent, but I do recommend trying to stick it out and just remember why you started and why you actually love the sport to get you through those tough times. Have you always wanted to swim at a high level? I think so. I started swimming quite late compared to quite a lot of people. I started when I was 10, joined a club when I was 10. I only did swimming lessons like once a week before that. Joined a club, and then I progressed quite fast, to be honest. I was at my first nationals when I was 12, I think. So 2 years after starting swimming, I'm pretty much at my first nationals. It was either 12 or 13, I can't quite remember. But yeah, progressed quite fast, and I didn't really understand what was going on at the time, but I just loved swimming, and that was, I've just always loved swimming. And then as I've grown up, obviously I've got quite high goals, but I just enjoyed swimming. What are your main events? So my favorite event is the 200 meters freestyle, but I kind of do all the freestyles: 50, 100, 200, 400, sometimes the 800, but it's not my favorite one. But yeah, I used to do a lot more events when I was younger, but the freestyles were always my favourite and my strongest, so kind of stuck with them. I prefer the 100, 200 and 400, but the 200 is definitely my favourite. What was it like swimming at European Juniors? So I went to European Juniors when I was 15 in 2017. And it was in Israel at the time, so it was a really good experience. I definitely learned a lot from the experience. I'd say that was kind of the first thing that I realized. I was like, oh wow, this is actually quite a big deal. Like I said, I improved quite fast when I started swimming, and it didn't really clock how good I'd actually got through that time, or I didn't clock that. And I think that was kind of the first kind of point where I was like, oh wow, this is actually quite good. And I feel like that was definitely the first time that I experienced any sort of kind of pressure to perform or anything. But yeah, it was a really good experience, and I made really good friends there who I'm still friends with to this day. And yeah, it was a really good experience. How do you manage nerves leading up to a meet? Now, I do struggle with nerves quite a lot leading up to a meet, especially when it's kind of like one of the big meets, when I'm like trying to qualify for something, or we're tapering and I really want to do well. I definitely struggle with kind of like feeling the pressure and the nerves building going into it. So I try and not think about it as much as possible. Like, obviously going through a taper is kind of what everyone talks about. When it's coming into like a tapered meet, I try not to spend that much time around the pool as much as possible. Try and leave the pool and not think about swimming outside of it. And that's just something that works for me. And kind of like communicating this with your coaches, and then they can kind of help give you some like positive advice and to help calm your nerves. And yeah, I have a few videos on my page, on my Instagram page, about this, so definitely check them out, and I will definitely do some more content on that soon. How do you take care of your hair? I try and rinse it out after every session, and then I use some of the chlorine removal shampoos and conditioner, some from Try Hard, Try Swim. They're really good. And yeah, not too much, to be honest. Probably not as much as I should do, but I try my best. But when you're swimming like 8-9 times a week, it is a lot to be washing your hair every single session, so I at least try and rinse out after every session. What is your daily motivation, if you're willing to share it? Thank you so much. Thank you for your question. So I just think about my goals and what I want to achieve, and I find that really motivating, especially if I'm like feeling quite tired that day. That's kind of like when motivation kind of dips. But just remembering that even though in this moment I'm very tired, that the work will pay off in the end, and that really helps me push through and yeah, get through the session, and motivates me to do my best in the moment. How did you get through girls being mean on your swim team? I feel like this definitely happens a lot, especially when you're younger. I mean, it's still there when you're older, but I feel like you just learn to deal with it. You're there for your own benefit. You're there to improve and achieve your goals. You're not there to, be a part of any drama that anyone tries to create. You're there for yourself and just focusing on the task at hand. If it's really bad, then I suggest reaching out to a trusted adult, a parent, a team manager, a coach, just to let them know what's going on, and maybe they can help with the situation. But yeah, you're there for yourself, and try and ignore it as much as possible. If they're talking badly about you, then they're probably not happy with themselves. So just focus on yourself and do what you're there to do, and yeah, just focus on yourself. What's a typical week of weights look like? So I normally lift 3 times a week, and they're pretty much all strength sessions. It does vary throughout the season, kind of like what phase we're in. If we're in taper, then it's more of kind of like a priming, quick, fast, lightweight stuff, moving weights fast. If it's in the thick of the season, then it's going to be more heavy weights, higher reps, kind of work, just trying to build that strength in there, building volume. Yeah, I'll share more on my daily gym program on my other social media channels. I could do a YouTube video on it as well, to be honest. So I'll share more of that, but that is kind of typical 3 times a week lifting. How do you balance swimming and studying at university? It does get quite tough when you're trying to balance everything together, but I think most important thing is communication with your coaches and your lecturers or tutors or whoever it may be. They're all there to help you, and they want to make sure that you're happy and able to balance everything, and they are there to help. As long as you communicate early and establish a good relationship with the different people that need to be informed about everything. If you need extensions or anything, or you're going to be away for a while, then that definitely needs to be communicated with your lecturers and everything, and even with your coaches. If you've got a really big deadline coming up and you're really stressed about it, you're not really going to be gaining anything from being in the pool if you're overly stressed about something else. They would much prefer you to miss a session and get your work done, because at the end of the day, you're also there to get a degree and you're not just there to swim. So it's really important to communicate with both parties and just make sure everyone is on the same page so they can provide any help that you need if you're struggling to balance. What's the hardest set you've ever done? So I will never forget this set. It was actually at Bath Uni Pool, but I wasn't training there at the time. I was 15 at the time. I just qualified for European Juniors, and I can't remember why we went there, but we went there for some reason on a Sunday, and I remember it because everyone else was doing like a 50 set and I was the only one doing this set, and it was all from a dive. I can't remember if it was suited or not. I can't remember, but it was all from a dive, basically max. 500, 400, 300, 200, 100, repeat 3 times. It was awful. I didn't make any of the target times, and then by the end of it had to be switched to like 5 100s, 4 100s, 3 100s, 2 100s, and then 1 100. It was awful. I'll never forget that set. I didn't make any of the turnaround time. I didn't make any of the target times. Nothing. The set was so hard. I was on my own doing it. And yeah, I'll never forget doing that set. Thank you, Matt Puddy, for that one. So that's all for today. I do have a few more questions, but I'm going to make a separate video because they're all focusing on a certain topic. So I'll make a separate video for those questions, and I hope to see you in the next one. Next week, we're going to be covering a taper vlog, so leading into English Nationals, and then the week after that will be the English National short course vlog, which I'm really excited about. It's been really fun, so definitely stay tuned for that.